Good day. Welcome to this Disaster Management Coordination Agency special presentation to mark the official start of the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. In today's presentation, you'll hear first from His Excellency the Governor Andrew Pierce, the Honorable Premier Joseph E. Farrell, and the Director of the Disaster Management Coordination Agency, Dmca, Major Alvin Ryan.
Good morning, Montserratans, and our guests and visitors on island. Today, the 1st of June, is the start of the 2020 hurricane season. That's always a time when many of us feel a certain apprehension. We have seen how much power these huge storms pack and the damage and hurt they can cause. Montserrat was hit by Hugo in 1989. We had a narrow escape from Irma and Maria in 2017, and we saw the devastation caused by Dorian in other islands last year. We can't foretell what storms will develop and whether any will come our way this year, but we should be aware that the experts predict that this season will be an active one. Already 2 named storms have formed. This year, we have already been battling the COVID-19 virus, an insidious, persistent and lethal challenge. It has been a very difficult fight, with a lot of people experiencing hardship and stress. But thanks to you all, we now have no active cases on island, and we are making progress in returning to normality, albeit to what will need to be a new normality in some key respects. It has been a testament to Montserrat's patience, resilience and fortitude, and to the commitment and skill of our medical and frontline staff. Unlike COVID, which grew out of the blue into an unprecedented pandemic in the first few months of this year, the hurricane season is a regular part of our lives in the Caribbean. It is perhaps easy with our human nature to treat the risk lightly until a storm is barreling down on us. And this year, being engaged so intensively in the COVID crisis, it is understandable that people may feel unready to switch attention to another threat at the same time. But the hurricane season won't stop for COVID. It's tough, but we can't and mustn't be complacent. We must do our best to prepare for a hurricane. Our community already knows well from experience much of what we have to do. But let us take no chance with our lives and our well-being and those of our families and friends. Please take the time to prepare yourself, your family, your pets and livestock, and your home to be safe for the hurricane season. We should restock our non-perishable food stocks. Make sure our hurricane shutters haven't been eaten away by termites and their locks are working properly. Put by secure containers to store fresh drinking water and refresh our first aid kits. Think about where we will shelter and where we will keep our pets safe. Stay tuned to the official channels for updates, ZJB, Dmca and the Governor's Office Facebook page. The government will be giving lots of good advice and will be ready to provide support through our communal shelters, our emergency stores, and our robust resilience plan for the hospital and all our key infrastructure. Let's look out for each other. Managing the threats from COVID and hurricanes will be a challenge for us, but we are not alone. The UK stands ready to help, including with the specialist Royal Navy support ships, RFA Argus and HMS Medway, that are deployed to the region. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have shown with COVID, together we will come through the hurricane season. Be kind, be ready. It only takes one.
Residents and friends of Montserrat, God's mercy and love for this land and its people is evident every day. As we reflect on the past few months, during what was an unprecedented time for Montserrat and indeed the world, we must give thanks to the Heavenly Father and acknowledge his merciful hand over us. As you're all aware, we have been directing a lot of energy and resources to containing the COVID-19 health emergency. And we have made notable progress and success in this regard. Certainly, we will continue to be vigilant so as to minimize any potential threat of a resurgence of the coronavirus disease. But even as we maintain our attention on the COVID fight, we must now shift some focus to the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. The tropical storm and hurricane threat to us, and indeed the entire region, is one which we anticipate every year. And as a result, we know what we must do, individually and collectively, to prepare should one come our way. This year is an exceptional year for the government and people of Montserrat. As we continue to manage the coronavirus, while at the same time ensuring the necessary plans are in place to prepare for what forecasters have predicted as an above normal 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. As of May 21st, there's a 60% chance of above normal activity during the June 1st to November 30th period. I do not need to remind you of how devastating tropical storms and hurricanes can be for us. As we have experienced our fair share of tropical storms and hurricanes, which have impacted our shores and left behind trails of destruction, out of these experiences, we were taught life lessons, making us a resilient people. In recent years, we have also seen how catastrophic hurricanes such as Dorian, Irma, and Maria have been as they devastated our region's brothers and sisters in 2019 and 2017 respectively. We must therefore prepare the best we can to mitigate our losses. As part of our preparation for the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season, government departments have been updating and reviewing their individual hurricane plans. We know this is important to protect our greatest asset, our people, and these plans are critical in ensuring that people know what to do and how to respond if the country is impacted. I wish at this time to express my thanks and appreciation to all public officers who have worked to make sure that these plans are up to date and are shared with all staff. But if for any reason there are others who have not yet completed their plans and shared with staff, I urge you to do so without further delay. I also want to encourage businesses and families to fine-tune their individual hurricane preparedness plans and urge you to share it with family members and staff, as this will allow each member of the family or business to become familiar with the contents. It is essential for all members of the household and businesses to know where to go, where essential and emergency supplies are located, and who to call should there be a direct impact. We know that businesses and indeed families are still dealing with the economic fallout as a result of COVID-19. But we must band ourselves together as a community to support each other as best we can. As part of government's hurricane preparedness efforts for the entire island, the Public Works Department in the Ministry of Communication, Works, Energy and Labor will be actively engaged in its routine preparatory drain cleaning and verge cutting work, especially on our major water crossings in areas such as Cassava Gut, Runway Gut, Carsby Bridge, Little Bay Market, and the port. This is to ensure that our infrastructure is not at an increased risk of becoming blocked during periods of heavy rainfall, which could result in flooding. Throughout this season, I encourage you to follow the guidance from the Disaster Management Agency, the Dmca, as they will be issuing alerts and advice throughout the hurricane season, aimed at ensuring we are prepared for any eventuality. Let us also remember those in our communities who may not be in a position to help themselves, and lend a helping hand whenever you can to guide them on how they can stay safe. Be reminded that we are our brother's keepers. The level of alertness I saw displayed over the past weeks during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic must continue throughout the hurricane season. We must listen to the advice given to us by those in authority and be ready to take action, sometimes at short notice. Do not become complacent, as it only takes one hurricane to affect us and derail the advancements we have made as a nation and as a people. All shelters are being prepared if the need to arise for persons to seek shelter out of their homes. For this hurricane season, operations and management of shelters could pose a challenge to both shelterees and shelter managers, as we seek to keep people safe from the storms, while at the same time maintaining measures in place to mitigate against any resurgence and spread of the coronavirus. One such measure will be the adherence to social distancing, as this will be advocated in shelters. And I urge everyone, if you happen to be in a shelter, be vigilant and follow the instructions of those in authority. We cannot and must not lay down our guards. While we do our part to prepare as a predominantly Christian society, we will also have faith and believe that by God's grace we will be covered and protected during this hurricane season.
Greetings, everyone. The Atlantic hurricane season officially starts June 1st, amidst the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. This year, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, forecast that the 2020 hurricane season will be more active than usual. NOAA is predicting 13 to 19 named tropical storms, 6 to 10 hurricanes, including 3 to 6 major hurricanes. In light of this prediction, we must be vigilant by taking the necessary actions to prepare as much as we can and stay prepared. Montserrat is no stranger to this type of hazard. Every year, we cast our minds back to 1989, where we experienced the devastating effects of Hurricane Hugo. Let us never forget the lessons taught by that event, and let us continue to demonstrate that we have in fact learned those lessons by taking the time to adequately prepare, knowing what can come our way. In Montserrat, we practice what is termed as comprehensive disaster management, where we are able to seat both government and non-governmental agency representatives around the table, either physically or virtually using technology like Zoom, to formulate a coordinated response to a particular threat or threats. Although we are fortunate enough not to have any active COVID-19 cases at the moment, the Dmca will continue to work closely with the Ministry of Health, where the pandemic expertise and authority lies, to ensure that we adopt and adapt policies and guidelines to ensure that our shelters are safe environments to ride out a storm. Because of social distancing in the COVID-19 context, we recognize that in addition to our established shelters, there may be a need to designate more, and we are proactively working to this end. The Dmca stands ready to fulfill its mandate to respond, coordinate, and recover in the event Montserrat is impacted by a storm or hurricane this season, and has been putting the necessary preparations in place. In terms of emergency supplies, thankfully, we are in a good position heading into this season. We have been in active dialogue with our overseas partners and colleagues who are facing the same challenges, and we are working together to meet those challenges. I am heartened by the number of departments that have submitted their emergency and business continuity plans to the Dmca. It is the best proof that we are indeed taking our hurricane preparedness seriously. The commercial sector should by now have completed their business continuity plans to ensure that they could continue to operate soonest after a storm. It is my hope that the individual families on Montserrat are at least thinking about their emergency plans, even if they have not formally written them down. Purchase your emergency food supplies, hand sanitizers, antibacterial hand wash, face coverings. Stock up on medication and put systems in place to secure your homes. I urge everyone to continue to play their part in ensuring that we all remain safe. Hurricane preparedness is everyone's business. Be ready. Stay ready. It only takes one.
Thank you for listening, and join us again for similar presentations from the Disaster Management Coordination Agency (Dmca) throughout the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season. Be ready. Stay ready. It only takes one.